ladies, and welcome. Have you ever considered why it's so important to have a crystal clear vision of what it is you most deeply desire in your love life? Well, I'm Michelle Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching, and I'm hoping by the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of why it can be so valuable for you to have deep clarity about things like who you really are as a woman and what your value is intrinsically and what you bring to the table. What kind of man, the kind of man that you would admire, respect, and trust would be like? What kind of heart and character qualities and characteristics might he possess? The kind of relationship that you most deeply desire and what that would look like in terms of how you spend your time together, lifestyle choices, shared values, some shared interests, some of those things that are deeply important to you and that would be so fulfilling to have in a relationship. It's important to really understand what makes you happy, what really makes your heart sing, like what your deepest love wants and needs are, and not only what they are, but why they're so important to you, what they mean to you, and why they would make such a big difference in your life. And also, why it would be so meaningful for you to have that kind of deep partnership relationship that you might desire. So to illustrate the importance of this point, I want to share with you just a little bit of a story, which some of you may be familiar with. Now, this is a true story about a swimmer, an American swimmer named Florence Chadwick. And I'll paraphrase this story, but I'll check in just a little bit on my notes to make sure I get the details right. She was born in San Diego, California on November 9th of 1918. And she began competing as a swimmer at age 6. And at the age of 10, she participated in a 2.5-mile rough water night swim where she came in 4th. Well, so in 1952, she decided to attempt swimming from the California coastline to Catalina Island. And this was about a 26-mile swim. When she started out the swim that day, there was fog and the water was kind of rough and there were even sharks in the water. But she had a team in a boat kind of going along next with her to watch out for fatigue or sharks or if she just felt like she couldn't go anymore. And so they were with her to kind of help support her on this swim. Well, she got 15 hours into the swim. And the fog was so thick and so dense that she just couldn't see anything. And she kept swimming and she kept pushing forward as long as she could. But she just finally just felt like she couldn't do it anymore. And so she got in the boat and was very disappointed at not having been able to complete her swim. And she also began to wonder, like, how close was she actually to the shoreline? If she could have kept going a while longer, would she have made it? And what she discovered is that she was only a mile away from the shoreline, which is a distance that she could have easily completed, or she definitely could have completed had she known how close she was to the shoreline. But because she couldn't see the shoreline, she didn't have a sense of how close she actually was. So she gave up at that point and got in the boat. Now, she did at a later date complete this swim, and she also went on to become the first woman to swim the English Channel in both directions. So the story has a happy ending, so to speak. But I wanted to share this with you because I think there's some similarities to this when it comes to your love life. So one of the things that I can remember thinking at certain points back when I was single was that I couldn't really see how, where, or when I could ever meet the right guy. It sort of felt like I'd been doing what I knew to do for such a long time that I just couldn't even imagine how it was possible that things were going to open up and I was going to meet my now amazing, wonderful husband and become a first-time bride at age 43. Now that I've been married 13 years, I can still remember feeling like I was like in the fog of all of that, and I just could not see. I couldn't see anything in the distance. I couldn't see any shoreline that was indicative that I would meet and marry the man of my dreams. And I think it's really important that we have clarity of vision and that we kind of know where we're going. And I have a proprietary process that when I work with my private clients, I take them through to help them get really clear and on a very deep level, more than they ever have, in terms of the direction that we're going. And while we don't have time to do all of that or work through all of that in a short video today, I will tell you that there's one key question that I think you can ask yourself right now to begin to start getting this clarity. And that is simply this: if you could have anything you wanted in terms of your love life, let's just say within the next 6 months to a year, what would you most like to have? So this might encompass like the kind of relationship you would want to be in. It might encompass something about the kind of man that you might want to be with, and it might encompass some of the kind of shared values or some of the things that you might like to have in a relationship that you think would be most joyful, satisfying, and gratifying for you to have in a relationship. And while this may seem like a simple question, and while it may seem like sort of obvious, in many cases there are deeper levels to go with this than you may have ever explored before. So let me just give you an example. So sometimes when I'm talking to women and I'm asking them this question, they're a little vague in terms of what they say about this. They're like, well, yeah, I might like to get married if I meet the right guy, and I don't know though, if he doesn't want that, then I might be okay in just being in a long-term partnership. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand that, circumstances may vary depending upon the man that you meet. But for now, while you're imagining this, while you're seeking for clarity in your mind, I want you to get really deeply in touch with not just the logic of it, but the feeling. If you could have anything you wanted, let's just set everything else aside. If you could have anything you wanted in terms of your love life in the next 6 months to a year, what would that be? What is the big dream? And what I'm saying here is, like, if you have a desire, if it is your desire, for example, to be married, my big desire when I was single was I wanted to meet and marry the man of my dreams. I wanted that kind of partnership. To me, it did mean something that we were married and that we had that kind of commitment to each other. I wanted that to be a part of my life. So if, for example, you really do want to get married, but you're almost afraid to say that because you don't want to be disappointed, or you're afraid that the man you might meet might not want that, for the purpose of this exercise today, I just want you to take the time to write down on paper, type out on your computer, whatever works for you. If you could have anything you wanted in terms of a relationship within the next 6 months to a year, what would that look like? What is that? What do you really want? Because until you know on a deep core level who you are, what you want, what your deepest desires are, and I believe acknowledge those and honor those by being able to speak them and clarify them and get clear about them, then it's almost like you're swimming through the fog to some extent. And it's also easier to kind of get swept by the waves of whoever comes, swept along by the waves of whoever might come along in your life. In other words, if you have a clear vision of what it is you want, of what feels right for you, of what would really make you happy and most fulfilled in your life, you're less likely to be swept off track by the waves of the sea that might come along that might take you in a different direction. And you're much less likely to get bitten by a shark, by the wrong kind of man out there. by the man who might be harmful or hurtful, or who might really take you into a pattern of not being treated well, or even abused in some way, used or abused in some way. And so I really feel like this story of this swimmer can be kind of a helpful imagery for you to understand the importance of having even deeper, more refined, more detailed, clear ideas of where it is that you most want to go in terms of your love life. Now, we'll be talking about this a little bit more in the future, but I wanted to introduce this idea to you. And I want to ask you to leave in the comments section below, just to type in a sentence or two, if you could have anything you wanted in the next 6 months to a year. Don't let the fear or doubt cloud that question for now. Just go with it. What would that look like? What would that be? What is the big dream? Because I believe when you can begin to see the dream, that's the beginning of making it come true. So leave your comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because more great content will be coming out soon. Sending you love, blessings, and cheering you on from here. Bye-bye for now.